saying the sun never sets on the British Empire. And the reason the sun never sets on the British Empire, because the British Empire expanded the entire globe. So if it was in both the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, and all across the equator, there was land claimed by the British Empire. So wherever the sun is shining on Earth at any given time, at any given season, it was shining down on territory that the British people were exploiting, committing genocide on. And so it's called the Uganda Project. But the Uganda Project, they looked in Kenya, they looked in Madagascar, they looked in Uganda. They wanted to go and have a Jewish homeland on the Crimean Peninsula. You hear all the news about Crimea now? That could have been Israel. They even proposed going to Ethiopia and merging with the Beta Israel, with the Ethiopian, or what's called, this is a derogatory term, Falasha Jews. But the Beta Israel is what they call themselves. They were saying, hey, let's just go. There's a community of isolated territory with African Jews, but we're rabbinical Jews, but non-rabbinical Jews. Let's just go to Ethiopia. They wanted to go to Alaska, the Alaskan territories. It wasn't a formal state at the time. They were like, we could go to Alaska. It's cold as hell, but ain't nobody up there. Guess where else they had proposed? They had proposed to go into Latin America, but not just anywhere in Latin or South America. They wanted to go to Guyana. They wanted to go establish a Jewish religious community in Guyana. You know what? Who also went to Guyana? Jim Jones. They were ahead of Jim Jones. So this whole thing of Palestine is our ancestral home, Palestine is the holy land, Palestine is the land that was promised to us, bullshit. If you were promised a specific land, why did you go literally all over the globe to find somewhere before you settled on Palestine? Palestine wasn't the first choice, and it wasn't even the last choice. It's just the choice they settled upon because the British Empire, after World War II, said, listen, we're about to lose our colony. We're about to lose our status. So as a last fuck you to our Arab protectorates, as a last middle finger to you, as a last shot in the ribs, here, go ahead and take this shit that don't even belong to us. In the 1940s, I used to say all the time, I got relatives, living relatives who are older than Israel. And we got Negroes out here, Israel, oh, that go back a long time. That's bullshit. My great aunt was born before Israel was founded. My grandmother, who died just a couple of years ago, was born before Israel was founded. I've interacted with people who are older than the state of Israel. There are brothers and sisters walking around today that lived years, a significant portion of their life, when Israel did not exist on a map. And if you can find a map from the 1930s or even the early 1940s, that map, that region will say the nation of Palestine. And there are very specific reasons as to why nations like the British Empire, the US, the American Empire, were basically like telling the Zionists, man, step off. We ain't got time for you. But after World War II, the world powers understood there's this thing that Dale Jones taught us about Europeans that we still haven't accepted. It is called loosening up to get a tighter grip. Loosening up to get a tighter grip. It is called, or a better way, as I call it, winning the peace. A lot of times when European colonizers, European invaders, European oppressors, when they lose the war, they begin to work to win the peace. They are in a constant state of conflict. Peace is also a conflict. Peace is also a space where Europeans will maneuver and employ machinations to extract people's resources, to disrupt people's ability to challenge their dominance. They will do it. In fact, Dale Jones teaches us. What did he say? The white man is more dangerous at the negotiation table than he is in the battlefield. Let me say that again. The white man is more deadly at the negotiation table than he is on the battlefield. Because we will sit there and think we won something, think we've gained something. Because we do have the concept of, hey, peace. Peace to Europeans is a time to garner your resources, build up your armaments, build up and stockpile ammunition, and to lay out your plans for future conquest. That's what peace is to these people. That's what they do in times of so-called peace. Where peace for us is rebuilding, healing, sustaining. We don't understand. And even though these people show us, and what did Oprah say? When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Oprah says it, she don't believe it either. But what I want to say today, and the ultimate message of the day, and we might have to go in and start talking about the specific Palestinian, all I want to say is everybody out here talking about the justification, the historical timeline, the justifications and motivations for Israel and the Zionist project are an absolute falsehood. The establishment of Israel was established as a genocidal settler colony, not for any defined, holy, or just purposes. It was set up as a bulwark, as an outpost of European imperialism. And the reason they had to establish an outpost from European imperialism, because after the devastation of World War II, the Europeans lost their ability and did not have the resources to maintain their global empire. And they understood that this was an industrial warfare, and the chief resource at the time was oil. And they understood that one of the chief regions for the concentration and extraction of crude oil was the so-called Middle East. And they were going to, and the Middle East prior to World War II was under what they call European or Western protectorate. Meaning that the people there were not directly colonized, but the economy, the extraction, the infrastructure, and even the hand-picked leadership, the Shahs, The oligarchs of that time were all under European control. And the British government understood at that time, we're going to have to loosen up to get a tighter grip. We're going to have neo-colonialism, neo-imperialism, neo-liberalism. We want to do the same thing. We have to employ different tactics and methods to achieve the same goal. And since we can't have our armies directly occupy Africa, we can't send the British Armada into the Straits of Hormuz. They gave up. Even they had to surrender Egypt. They had to surrender their protectorate. And so they say, we'll put a white, European, Eurocentric, Western, imperialist outpost right smack dab in the middle of a region we seek to maintain control over. That was the reason for the establishment of Israel. The British government, the U.S. government is anti-Semitic. The Jewish right understands that. They understand this is an agreement between hostile entities. This is an agreement between hostile enemies. Israel is an outpost of white power in a region where the Europeans and the West used to have direct influence and direct military regiments in that region. Right, the Suez Canal. They had to give up the Suez Canal. Israel is not a holy or prophetic project. It is a project in imperialism, and it has repaid. And just like when Theodore Herzl went to the Ottoman Empire and said, I know you're doing genocide, I know you're doing imperialism, but if you break me off, if you give me carve out some of your empire and let me set up, you will have an ally, you will have an agent. And it started off with the British Empire, said, yeah, go ahead, take Palestine. And then the benefactor became the U.S. And whenever the United States sets up, Israel is a bagman and a henchman for U.S. imperialism. Whenever the U.S. puts an embargo, like there's a human rights violation, there's some warlord, there's some fucking maniac that's killing his own people, and the U.S. can go before the world stage as a world leader and say, listen, we are going to cut off all arms sales to this murderous regime. We're going to cut off arms sales. And then they just go to Israel and say, you sell them the arms. It's happened all over the world, too many times to count. The United States says, well, we want to topple this socialist government. We want to topple this communist leader, but we want to keep our hands clean. So what do? CIA takes the files, takes the hit list, hands it over to the Mossad, gives the Mossad the training, the money. And what does Israel do? Israel says, listen, we mad about Cop City. You know what the first original true Cop City is? The original Cop City is Israel. U.S. police forces go to Israel because Israel sells itself as a laboratory of, we build walls, we know how to control and they like, listen, we got the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. We got millions of people under surveillance, under the gun. We got, talking about drones, we got turrets, we build walls, we know how to control and contain large populations of people and got them in a stranglehold. And so anybody that wants to repress an urban population, you send your police forces, you send your special agents, you send your intelligence officers to Israel for training. The cop that killed Mike in Missouri, these little rinky dink out of nowhere Missouri policemen. Why are Missouri policemen going to Israel for special instruction and training? It is a laboratory, technology of surveillance, urban warfare tactics and repression. So even if you're like, that ain't got nothing to do with me, I'm not a Palestinian, I'm not Jewish, it ain't got nothing to do with me, I promise you, there is Zionist Israeli technology surveilling you and your family members. There are Zionist Israeli tactics and strategies being employed in your community by the policemen who you think are Yankee Doodle Americans when they've been over there and trained by the IDF and using tactics that were developed and experimented on the Palestinian people. Zionism is a global issue. It is not limited to Palestine. It is not limited to Jerusalem, the Gaza Strip. This is a global repression issue. And I got people, like I got blocked by Supernova Islam. You can't both sides genocide, motherfuckers. Let me tell y'all, all you people out here talking about, well, Hamas is bad, Hezbollah is bad, and I don't support it, IDF, everybody needs to stop. No, everybody don't need to stop. You can't both sides genocide. And I don't understand all this talk of the children. Let me tell you something. The war didn't start. The Palestinians have been under direct ongoing assault. They have been starved. They have been outright murdered. They have been poisoned. They have been displaced. It is genocide. And what did Malcolm X say? You got two choices. You can suffer peacefully or you can resist. But that don't change Israel's agenda. They have found you have the West Bank and Gaza Strip are the two areas where the Palestinians are contained and corralled. The West Bank is considered peaceful. It's under the control of the PLO. The Gaza Strip is under the control of the terrorist Hamas. But guess what you find when you look? You find that the West Bank, the peaceful Palestinians, are under more aggressive repression and having their land taken and being displaced more aggressively than those who are resisting. And you can't, any motherfucker out here talking about both sides are wrong. You are wrong. Hamas, and listen, those dead children, everybody who goes, I would never set foot in Israel. Because I support the boycott, divestment, and sanction. Just like John Henry Clark proudly professed, I've been to every single country in Africa. Every African country I've set foot in my travels and my scholarship, except for South Africa. And he said, I won't put one toe in South Africa as long as it is ruled and governed. So if you simply do the right thing, you will be safe from anything that the resistance movement does. The Palestinian says boycott. Don't go there. Don't go there on vacation. Don't go there as a tourist. Don't go there on religious pilgrimage. Don't come here. Don't bring money here. Don't spend money here. Don't buy products from this place. And every single person in Jerusalem, in the Zionist state, has the option of leaving. So the children that are dying there are there because of their parents participating in genocide. You have the right to leave. The Palestinians don't have a right to leave. They can't go to Egypt. They can't go to Jordan. They can't escape by water, land, or air. They don't have the option of leaving. You got no business over there. Then leave. So I don't go places that are under genocidal occupation. The only genocidal occupation place I am is the United States, and that's because I was fucking born here. Israel does not limit its genocidal tactics and its genocidal agendas to the West Bank and Gaza Strip. Israel has aided in coup d'etats and massacres up until the day apartheid was dissolved. The number one ally of South African apartheid was the nation of Israel that provided not only conventional weapons. Israel not only gave to the white Afrikaans